Schmidt.
Schmidt will be our producer.
Yeah, we don't quite say it all. Yeah, because that's why we came up with the Heimer show.
Right. Yeah,
as the name of it.
And I'm Jingleheimer.
Something like that. Okay,
right.
Let's go for it.
All right. Hi, I'm John.
I'm Jacob.
And this is the Heimer.
Welcome, everybody. It's been a while.
It's been about 2 years.
Has it really?
Yeah.
Whoa. Well, that's why we wanted to come back strong. We got
Did
Troy
we start
with us
this
today.
in COVID?
Maybe so. We thought,
Just after COVID?
let's take a respiratory disease and
Yeah.
pile into a little camper.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. We were struggling for social connection, maybe, or something. I don't know. Anyway, we have Troy with us today.
Hello.
And what are we talking about today?
Well, we had the great idea to talk about what does 1,000 years in the future look like?
I don't even totally know what I'm doing tomorrow. So I don't know.
And I wonder if the people 1,000 years ago even thought about that. Like, what's 1,000? Like, I wonder if they had the same concept of time as we do, right?
Yes. I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably just were hoping for the sun to come up the next day.
That's
I'm
right.
not going to survive until tomorrow.
That's right.
Yes.
Or like the Mayans. The Mayans had some stuff figured out, though. Like, those are the guys that they figured out all the eclipses and everything.
Right,
In
and they
some
had
ways.
about 2,000 years, right, in the future?
Did
And that's
they
why
really?
everybody thought
Right.
in the year, I don't know, 2002 or something, the world was going to end because of the Mayan calendar.
That's
was ending.
right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. They were at least trying to think big
They had,
picture.
yeah.
So yeah. So like, what are we doing with our civilization? Like, what are humans doing right now, and what should we be doing?
How can we get there?
Yeah.
How can we make sure 1,000 years from now is better than where we are today?
You're right. I think a lot of the challenges would probably be to get over a lot of the fear that it seems a lot of people have right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're more of an optimistic view. I think we're more of a pessimistic view on that the world will end within 1,000 years. And I think once we change that mindset, possibly, we could probably start all of us moving forward into a good direction.
Okay,
moving
so we
forward.
all need to start thinking about this.
Right.
And that's why we're here today.
I guess that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe folks will leave some comments on the video, and who knows? Maybe some other people have thought about this a lot and have some ideas. Do you guys think that are we talking about life on Earth? Or are we now talking about life on other planets and outside of Earth?
I was just focused on Earth at first, but you bring up a great point, right? Like outside of Earth. Like, what does that look like?
Right, I think we'll be on Mars. I think we'll have a little something going on the moon as well.
Yeah.
I think there's really going to be science-based, though. I think we're still going to be doing a lot of research stuff. The people living there are probably going to be more science-focused.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe trying to get more people out there for whatever reason. Maybe trying to terraform Mars as a planet.
Yeah, right. That'd be really interesting.
Maybe
to see.
some farming and stuff.
Yeah, farming, trying to get an atmosphere going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, what are things? So, I'm guessing maybe some humans will still be on Earth, maybe most of us and everything. What should humans be doing then? Like, what are some good basic life practices or skills that people should be doing to keep the species alive? Why are you laughing, John?
Well, what's the future look like? I feel like it could go lots of different ways. Obviously, depending on what we do now. I think a good future is one in which we can overcome kind of a problem that we have right now is with our technology that we've been using, like our phones, for example. I think technology has come too fast into our lives, and us as humans don't know how to deal with this. Or what kind of effects it's going to have on us. So I think that's one thing we're going to have to deal with is understanding the human relationship with technology better.
Right, and that's scary, right? Mm-hmm. Just like you said, it's come at us so quickly, and it's developing a lot more than we are developing and catching up with it, especially with the whole AI introduction and all that. Right?
Yeah, like how do we as a human keep ahead of the AI thing?
Yeah, I saw a guy online, just a little clip or something of a guy doing a job interview with AI. Maybe I already mentioned this, but he had his phone right next to his computer for his Zoom interview or whatever, and every time they asked him a question, it just told him what to say. And he was just reading off his phone for the whole interview and gets the job. And I'm thinking, like, what? Like, can this person not think on their own then?
It's going to be a middleman
Right.
for the business. Like, he's a middleman between AI and the business.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I have become a lot of people's best friends because, full disclaimer, I use Chat GPT to answer text messages that people send me, like, oh, like they're having like a hard time, and I go to Chat GPT and I say, how do I respond to this text message?
Huh.
I'm kind of like catfishing my friends because if I see them in person, right, and they ask me the same questions, I'm not going to sound nearly as educated as the AI was.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of risking my friendships. But anyway.
Yeah, then maybe come back to you a
Right.
month later and say, like, that was awesome advice. Thank you so much.
Do you have any more?
That's right. It's kind of like the movie Roxanne, right? Where Steve
yeah.
Martin's in the bushes telling,
Yes.
and then when he's ever with the girl by himself, he looks like a doofus. But anyway,
Right.
so, it's a risk we take. So anyway,
Yeah.
Right. So in the future, maybe AI is even more like us. We can start to kind of tell AI how we want it to act, so then it can reflect our own personality.
yeah, we have to have some kind of like control over it
Mhm.
and not let it just do what it wants to do. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges even today that they're trying to
Right.
grasp around.
And do we even know what it's doing?
Right.
Like, it's programmed to do something, and we can use it in some way, but how is that going to...
Yeah, is it like
Manipulate
already
us.
involved in various parts of our lives that we don't know? Like, could it be involved in banking, for example, or like stock investing? If you're in an index fund, could people be setting up
Yes.
some sort of AI to just make these decisions
Why not?
based
Well,
on an algorithm? And
Definitely. I think, I mean, you can, so a lot of the times when you're trying to decide if it's a good stock to buy, you will be reading through all their quarterly reports, and sometimes those can get really complicated. So you can just upload that and say, how is this company doing? And it'll spit out information, and then you can make a decision based on some more everyday man type language.
Right.
Right.
And I do know that since sports betting has zoomed and rocketed recently, there's a lot of sports books where they have an AI that will run through like 2 different teams. They'll run through 10,000 different scenarios, and then it takes the aggregate of what the results of that 10,000 scenarios is, and then comes up with a most probable likely outcome of a sports game to include rushing touchdowns, passing touchdowns, like every aspect of the game.
Yeah.
So AI is definitely running that as well.
But there's some degree of people giving the input to the AI, right? So like whoever's
Right.
determining, doing the coding and stuff
Right.
for that is actually wielding a lot of power.
And that's what I was thinking. As long as we have humans programming or writing the programs or the codes, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some level of control or safeguards in that we could. And once that, if AI takes over that part, then we may be in
Which
trouble.
it probably will.
It's like
Which it probably will.
the Terminator movie
That's
or
right.
Matrix or one of those kind of
Skynet, right?
Yeah. Okay, so where does this leave us? So AI has taken over everything. How do we as humans continue to evolve? Like, what is our path? If AI can take care of all of this complex stuff, how do we as humans still find a fulfilling life?
So I think at the core, and I think that's some of the concerning is at the core of everything, I think humans had creativity, right? That's what separated us from machines. But most recently out in Hollywood with the strikes, right? The writers' strike, that AI can write creative screenplays and that type of thing. I think giving up some of that creativity is concerning for humans, right?
Definitely,
We need to find what will keep us separated, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope that, like, I kind of feel bad for young people, like with how their lives are sort of run by all this, because what I want for young people is to be able to sit down just like we're doing right now and have some level of meaningful conversation that's not being sort of fed to them from their phone. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of uncomfortable for a lot of people to just talk like that. But
right.
Yeah, it's definitely getting worse with the younger generation coming up because of all this technology that's just been put in front of them, and this is how they're been communicating with others, is through the technology. And so when they have these face-to-face interactions, it probably isn't as meaningful.
Yeah, yeah. Well, how about shifting gears a little bit? How about just like habits of our society, like kind of a slam dunk example might be our gas cars. You know, like most people would say, like, we won't have gas cars in 1,000 years. It's going to have to evolve, use water as a fuel or something else. And like, are there any of those kinds of things that it would be good if we could shift in the next 50 or 100 years? Like, the sooner we switch, the better. Like, like that would have a pretty big impact for helping us 1,000 years out.
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, and I think for cars, I think we need to start pushing to get away from these cars. I don't think cars are going to be in our future, or they'll be just like a rental type thing. Like, I need to travel a long distance, so I'll rent a car and travel that distance. I think for just being within a community, a lot of urban planning needs to be developed in which bicycles are like the main form of transportation, as well as just walking, roller skating, whatever.
Rollerblading.
Unicycles. A way to kind of keep your creativity going, you know?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Dance.
That'd be great. Do the polka.
Yeah. Just go to the grocery store with the polka going.
So yeah, I was thinking, if we can get away from cars, in 1,000 years, that would be the ideal place to be, is that we've planned our communities and our cities around bikes more.
Interesting. So you think it's, so right, we had this whole thing where we made the world flat, right, where it became, and now you think we should make it round again, and instead of having everything be at our fingertips, have it be more isolated to where it was in a communal kind of sense.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good, interesting way of putting it, Troy. I like that. Right, because it, like, even if you had cars running off of zero emissions and fuel was endless or something, it's all the space and money and, you know, all those kind of other factors that go into our car culture, maybe. Do you picture, like, you know, high-speed trains, or like...
That would be, yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, for like long distances. But right, find the reasons why people are leaving to go do something and bring it to where they live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And keep everything there within the community.
Right.
That'd be interesting.
Right. I went grocery shopping today and bought a pomegranate. That's kind of weird. Why did I... What? How could I buy a pomegranate? You know, like in the middle of winter in a temperate forest. I probably should not have access to a pomegranate.
Do you have to skin those, or how's that work? Do you cut it in half?
I usually cut it in half and then take out the little... I've never eaten them. Or,
no.
Maybe we should open one up here. Let's go get it right in the
sounds
kitchen.
Great.
Yeah. But that sort of thing, like, right? Like, that's part of it, is like eating a little bit more local when you can and stuff, because, you know, it's kind of nice that we have like these passages and ways of connecting around the world, like cultures and languages and everything, and meeting people and greater awareness. But also, it's like we need to stay somewhat, in certain ways, we need to stay sort of sustainable. Probably good for a lot of things, like defense. I think about, like, the security of a country is going to be stronger if they can maintain their own food supply or whatever. And
power grid would be a little bit stronger.
I also think, not necessarily for material items or different types of things, but I think it's a thought process too, and it kind of goes to what we talked about earlier, is I think people need to and it's not necessarily what folks know, it's about what they want to learn. I think that will help progress in a way. I think a lot of the times now with the younger generation, it's all about what they know, right? And that's getting it from whatever information. At least in my work environment, I don't see much of the younger generation looking to learn more things. They just rely on what they know so far, and they're okay with that.
Yeah, that's going to be a big problem.
Yeah, it is. Right?
That's a huge problem. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so learning, a way to learn in the future.
Right.
In 1,000 years from now, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have a whole series of podcasts
That
about
seems like
education.
a whole podcast.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah,
That's right.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Right, because you either evolve or you go extinct. I mean, that's
Right.
how it works.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the thirst of knowledge or learning would help a lot with evolving into the future.
Yeah.
1,000 years from now.
Yeah. That's kind of a little bit how I can fall into a rut sometimes, and I think, like, we've already talked about solar panels and certain things so many times in so many ways. Like, is anybody thinking, like, kind of even bigger picture? You know, is any, like, what do we need to really be doing? Like, those things are maybe great for a long time. Maybe they're great. Nothing wrong with them. But what else? Like, what else should we be doing to think bigger picture? I'm kind of, in some ways, I'm stuck, but I think we're hitting on some ideas.
So, yeah.
One idea that comes to my mind is that I think water is going to be limited in the future. That'll be a huge pain point for us. And so something that we could do is just, this would destroy natural habitats, but make more dams. So create more reservoirs, more dams, and then you could use the hydroelectric power that way as well.
That's interesting. What do you think? What else do you think would be gone in 1,000 years? Right? Like, right? Water. Right? I don't know.
I mean, like, I'm such a hippie about these sort of things, so I could be wrong. But, like, I think about the rainforest. I know that's a little cliche, but, like, to me, like, the way that the rainforest in Brazil is controlling the climate around the whole world, it's almost like the lungs of our planet. Like, part of me wishes, I don't understand all the geopolitics, but part of me wishes we could just preserve that sucker. Just save it. You know, can't even explain all the reasons why completely, but save that whole thing. Because, like, if we do lose huge amounts of places like that, I think we're going to be suffering with things.
I don't know if there would be much natural resources left, right? It's not like natural resources reproduce, right? There has to be an end to what seems to be the limited amount of natural resources we have.
Yeah. Right, like maybe there's policy or something, or some sort of system set up where, like, you have to be replenishing anything you use in some method, you know,
like a forest or something.
Yeah, but maybe even more detail, maybe even your food or your water, or, like, I don't know, like, I'm sure that's how it'd be if we were on Mars.
Right.
You know, like, you
definitely.
can't just waste a whole bunch of
You
stuff.
couldn't waste anything.
You know, you're not throwing out, like, Happy Meals in the trash
most of the
can
resources have been traveled through rocket out there.
Yeah,
and I spent 20 years on a submarine, so water was a valuable commodity. You know, you can only make so much water for a certain amount of time, so there were some days where we couldn't take a shower to keep the water conserved based on the operations we were in. So
And limited showers, probably.
Limited showers, if you took a long shower, we would call you a Hollywood, right? Because you're in there for longer than 5 minutes. So what we did to conserve water is we would go in and you turn on the water just to get wet, then you would turn it off, suds up, and then turn the water back on to rinse off and then get out. That was the philosophy for that. So
which is ironic, right? When you're floating in water. I mean, I know it's
surrounded by water.
This is salt water and fresh water and all that, but still, you're in water. You know.
Was there, like, any reusing of that shower water to, like, flush a toilet or something?
No, it was all in different tanks. Okay. Yeah, so we would always bring in.
So once it's used, it was used.
Yeah, once it was. Yep, that's right. Okay. We called that the gray water, right? And then we'd go into gray water tanks, right? Kind of like camping. I think you have gray water tanks and dark brown water tanks and that sort of thing. So
yeah. Well, I mean, this could be obviously a whole series.
We could do a series on this. Education would be a good one. I think
Yeah.
that's coming up in the future there.
I mean, I feel like this is great, but there's so much detail. We could get into all these topics and stuff.
Right.
You know, but, you know, I mean, I feel like we should be trying at least, even if we can't figure it all out. Let's, as a species, be trying to think.
Mm-hmm. What happened in 1,000 years?
Yeah, beyond our own lifetimes.
Right. Definitely.
Don't just think about ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of a funny spot to stop, but I think we probably need to. We'll have to keep some of these discussions going. No, I mean, this is great. Like I said, to start with, maybe we have some comments or people with the video have things they want to add, and
Mm-hmm. What type of, maybe a good question to answer is what resources are going to be limited in the future?
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, thank you, Troy, for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
And,
I'm glad I was invited. I appreciate it. It's been great.
I hope you had fun.
Well, I hope I get an invite back, but I don't know. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of open-ended things to think about here.
Yes, for sure.
So, not predicting that we come up with answers on one of these.
And it's the first of the new year. We don't need to have solutions. The first.
Yeah.
We have a whole year to figure it out.
Okay, well.
Yep.
All right.
Well, we got to thank Schmidt, as always,
Oh, yeah.
our producer.
Thank you, Schmidt.
And, well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for the support. All right.